A seminar titled Online Teaching, More Challenges Than Teaching was held on the 28th of October 2021 at the Darbar Hall, Raj Bhavan, Shillong. Organized by the Society for Empowerment of Education and Development, SEED, the seminar aims to address the challenges faced by the teachers in conducting online teaching. The chief guest on this occasion was His Excellency, the Honorable Governor of Meghalaya, Shri Satyapal Malik, and the guest of honor was the Vice Chancellor, NEHU Shillong, Professor Prabha Shankar Shukla.
As a president of SEED, I would like to take this opportunity to give you all a brief introduction about the NGO. We are rather a very young organization which came into existence in 2017 with a mission to empower our society through education, which will lead to knowledge, and ultimately knowledge will act as a fuel for development, not only as a whole, but at individual level as well. We strongly believe that education is the raw material for building a rock-solid society which will ultimately contribute to building a strong nation. Here, we talk about education, we mean all forms of education, formal, informal, and vocational. Being an educationist throughout my life and have been dealing with various educational institutions and the children at various levels. During this pandemic, at SEED, we tried our best to contribute in this educational sector in whatever way we could. We especially tried to reach out for the children who could not have access to smartphones or internet connection. In simplest yet innovative way, by creating an audio-based free virtual live classroom where a student can simply dial a phone number and join the class without the need of an internet or smartphone. During this time of pandemic, when we were trying to reach the students, we realized that besides students, teachers also have to go through a lot of upgrades and training at their own levels to understand this technology-driven education system. Since that time, the idea of holding a seminar as well as a training session for teachers came into our minds, and finally, we are here. I would like to thank our Honorable Governor of Meghalaya, Shri Satyapal Malik, for his support and guidance to make this seminar possible. Thank you once again, sir. We cannot deny the fact that the pandemic has brought significant changes in our lives, as well in this education system. It has forced the giver and the receiver to adapt to this whole online system of education and communication. From physical classrooms, we had to switch to virtual classes. Though we have advanced in technology, but yet lack of direct interaction has affected the teaching and the learning process. Surely, the whole online system has made our lives much easier, but in reality, we have to ask this question to ourselves and try to find out the answer. No one can deny the fact that since lockdown and the online classes started, teachers and students are equally facing a lot of challenges. Let's try to dig it deeper and try to find out, as a teacher, where do we stand today and what we can do to overcome these challenges. Did the lockdown really make things worse or gave an opportunity to advance ourselves 5 years ahead of time? This is something we need to really evaluate and find the answer.
The unexpected pandemic has brought challenges in the education sector in our country since we follow the traditional classroom teaching system. The introduction to online teaching has been very new and challenges both to the teachers and the students, which has somewhere affected the academic growth of the student. The difficulties in imparting online classes can be due to the insufficient knowledge to the digital method of teaching. Hopefully, this seminar organized by SEED with the help of eminent educationists can throw some light on online teaching, its challenges and also opportunities. I would also like to congratulate the resource persons, Professor Santaram Joshi of NEHU, Shillong, and Professor Subhash Chandra Roy of Niri Umiam for sparing their valuable time and helping the organization with their experience and knowledge. I feel happy to see organizations which work to raise the bar of education, as education is the gateway to empowerment and development.
SEED, Society for Environment, Education and Development. Being a man of SEED, I always define the SEED in the terms of the Brahma. Because SEED have all the type of capability. Not only a small entity, also having the capacity to transfer the character from one generation to other generation. Education really playing an important role in the life of any human beings. And this society is only going to empower the children of the Meghalaya for their education. In the COVID era, we know about the impact of COVID on society, not only the society, also the employment, developmental procedure, official activity, etc. As with most teaching methods, online learning also has its own advantage and disadvantage. In this period, online learning really played an important role for disseminating knowledge, not only the disseminating of the knowledge, also disseminating of the information from one individual to other individual, one officer to other officer for managing of this pandemic situations. Every system has their pros and cons. One of the most commonly used terms, the post-pandemic, is the term new normal. The new normal in education sector is the increased use of open source of web learning tools. The teaching community world over is banking upon online learning platforms to continue with the process of educating students. The new normal now is a transferred concept of education with digitized learning at the core of this e-learning revolution. Online learning not only promotes academics but also enables extracurricular activities in virtual mode for students as well. The present day mantra is e-learning in virtual mode, and it is going to stay here for future generation also. So what are the advantages of online learning? Efficiency. Online learning offers teachers an efficient way of delivering lessons to students. Online learning has a number of tools such as videos, PDF, podcasts, e-drivers, data storage, cloud servers, digital notebooks. Also, the benefits of the environment. The traditional education system overuse busy work, which is a chronic source of the paper waste. Online learning promotes afforestation by preventing loss of trees and reduce the energy and resources used to recycle paper. Accessibility of time and place. Affordability, online teaching and learning process reduce financial burden on middle class families as it is far more affordable compared to physical learning. This is because online learning eliminates the cost point of student transportation, student meals, and most important, real estate. Improved student attendance, kind of mechanism in online learning. So students attendance as well improve, promotes personalized learning approach. Every student has a different way of learning and adapts herself to his or her comfort practices. Some students are visual learners, while some students prefer to learn through the visual effects similarly. Some students thrive well in classroom environment, while some are solo learners and easily get distracted by large groups. This system also encourages students test their knowledge at a time. And with this system, there are many educational apps that use online quiz, keep tracks of the students' progress daily, weekly, or monthly. But for their benefits, there are some also the disadvantages of e-learning. Physical health and lack of classroom ethics. Increased screen time increase the strain on the eyesight and results in migraine issues in the school, children and teachers as well. Further increased duration of e-learning creates eyesight issue and promotes obesity, thereby leading to hazardous lifestyle diseases. Inability to focus on screens. Some are able to focus on the screen, some are not able to focus on the screen. Technological issues. Internet connectivity with appropriate bandwidth is a major issue. Online streaming of the videos and data sharing like slides and presentations are almost impossible in small towns and villages without a consistent internet connection, and still Meghalaya facing the problem. Sense of isolation. A student can learn a lot from the being social in the company of their peers. However, there is no physical interaction between students and teachers in virtual mode of e-learning. This often results in a sense of isolation for the student and can create behavior problem for student children in the future. Teachers training. Teachers are also not trained for this purpose. Only with their own knowledge, teachers are using the e-learning platform at present. Security, also a problem in e-learning. Your data may be stolen. Loss of value system. That is the main and important things, which was prominent on traditional learning. The benefits of traditional learning would be at a loss due to the virtual learning activities. Students will be deprived of the benefits of traditional learning value system. And Meghalaya is a tribal state. We have several types of traditional values. So this system can affect this traditional values also. One-to-one or in-person teaching is effective and demonstrates increased level of student engagement with the teachers. Traditional classroom teaching environment increases interaction among students and provides conducive environment to learn fellow students. It also encourages higher level of competitiveness among the student. The social environment at a traditional school is perfect to build a child's character and personality. Teachers play a pivotal role in instilling disciplines and providing sense of direction to students in a traditional learning environment. In the last but not least, I would like to conclude that in the present situation, the blending mode of education is required because no one can say Corona will be, will not be. I also used several times in this, in the nature or theory of the Darwin, that is survival of the fittest. So it may be in the future, due to the pandemic situation, may again come, just like news and media and other always explaining the slightly increase in the number of some other parts of the country. The blended mode of education will play an important role in the field of education in future.
The most important thing is the need of the hour is to, or was to last year, was to innovate and implement alternative educational system and the assessment strategies. We have implemented the educational system, but when it comes to examination and assessment, we are still having problem. We are not sure. You know, we talked about online examination that we have conducted. We have passed our student, they have qualified, they have got their degree, but I call them as the virus batch. And in this online, what we do is we upload the question paper that we did last year. Now we have changed, the different modes. We would upload the question paper 1 hour before the exam starts because we are not sure about the uploading and the internet connectivity and the downloading they have to do because the certain bandwidth internet was needed by the student. And they would start the exam at 10 o'clock, 3 hours exam, we will give them another 1 hour to upload because that is going to be taken. Ultimately, they wrote for 5 hours. And in initial period, what happened was this assessment. In our label, at the department level, some of our faculties started taking exam where they said, okay, you can write with your hand, scan it, make a PDF file, okay, portable document and upload. But some of them said, no, they can even type. So that initial period, they did that. But the problem is, when we were talking in a meeting, I said, no, don't allow them to type. I said, why? They were saying, because typing is very easy. They have the Google Bhai sitting in one corner. They have opened a Word file. They'll just copy, paste and format it to the most beautiful looking document and send you. And when they have sent you, you cannot say you cannot give marks. It's exactly the D2 copying mostly from Wikipedia. But Wikipedia is not always authentic, that's right. They don't know many of them. Okay, so this is what we talk about. So what we have learned is, we are learning through time. It's not wise to tell students, please type, because typing is not needed. It's only copy paste. But when they write, at least they will make an effort to write, even if they are copying. So these strategies are also changing, right? So it is, what has it done? As we talked about also in the inaugural session, is it has given us an opportunity. The opportunity is that we'll have to pave the way, we had to make way for digital learning, right? I would not call this as e-learning in totality because, e-learning also include distance learning, where we talk about distance education, which is there, where it's a completely different mode than what we are talking about today. We would call it only a small aspect of e-learning. It's not totality in e-learning because e-learning also includes corresponding courses which are distance learning mode. This is not distance learning, right? Okay. Now, what is this online teaching? Is all of us know, we call this as online teaching. We call them as offline teaching. I don't know, or some call us, today we also started calling it physical teaching. We call this as a hybrid teaching. I'm not very fond of the word hybrid, Hybrid is completely different. But hybrid is a blended mode that we intend to explain. Today we are taking classes in hybrid mode. Some of our students are in the classroom who are attending. Some of our students are online because they are not able to get the hostel, they have not come to the university. So we teach in a way that we are captured while we are talking, and the students are there like you, they are listening to me, what I do, and the camera captures my actions and gestures and transmit to the people who are online. So that is a blended mode. It's not hybrid. Hybrid is something, two different things when we bring together and blend it in one go, resulting in one product is a hybrid. Here we are not resulting in one product, they are still individuals, okay? So the correct word would be blended for me, but hybrid is accepted, no doubt. There are online applications that are developed. I think today we know as teachers, we know much more than what we knew in March 2020 about the application, right? Now what is online teaching today we are talking about is it's more student-centric, okay? In the classroom, if you talk about, I may not be 100% correct, but when you talk about the traditional classroom, it's more teacher-centric because what I do, where I move, what I write on the blackboard, how do I use the space, how do I interact, what kind of reinforcement that I'm using, what kind of interactions that I'm creating in the classroom, it's more towards the teacher center. The students are definitely there as participants, but this is, your focus is, or are the students. It's more student-centric. That is why I said that how many of them are there, how many of them are not there makes a lot of difference when you teach. Okay. Now the teaching skills play a great role in successful interaction. Now, do we really need teaching skills when you teach online? Many of you have done B.Ed, for example, where you talk about micro teaching skills. Do we need stimulus variations here? Do we need reinforcement here? Do we need illustration with examples?
The online teachers uses digital resources. All of us know that, okay. The problem is it is accessible to many but not to all. That's the problem that we talk about, because economy has played a very, very important role when we talk about, right? The greatest thing that we talk about today is the online platform has provided us a lot of freedom. So there are a lot of freedoms not only in our own expressions and our behavior, but also in the use of technology, use of methods that we think that online teaching has given us. That's very, very important. We have become more free to express ourselves because the inhibitions have really gone, because it's your student and you. There is nobody listening to you from outside the classroom. There is nobody peeping you across the windows, the glass window. There is no administrator running across. You are just free to do anything on your own. Now, if you look at online learning, it's a shift away from top-down lecturing and passive students to a more interactive, that's what I talked about, collaborative approach in which the students and the instructors co-create the learning experience. It's, when you talk about in a classroom, it's a top-down. The teacher comes, makes the beginning statement, for example, or writes something in the blackboard, start lecturing. That's how we all began. But here it may not work because you don't have a platform to write unless you have a digital board or a Jamboard that you have learned to use. You will not straightway write, and there is beginning statement which also becomes so difficult. It's a completely shift of approach from what you did in the classroom. So online instruction is not easy, as I said. The instructor role is changing from the sage on the stage to the guide on the side. When you're in the classroom, you are the most wisest person in the classroom as a teacher, is it not? And if I'm not wisest, then I'll not be able to teach. That's true. Let's look at the challenges that we faced. Let's go back and close your eyes. There came, the schools are going to be closed, that's going to be locked down. And then the announcement came from the school or the colleges or the university, now the classes are going to be online. So how do we connect? We started searching for students. We called them. I said, the first thing we did was, I called them, I said, okay, can you send me your email? At the university, of course, they have smartphones. They are a little at the higher stage of learning, little well to do also. It's unlike the schools where, if you are in the rural areas, it's much more difficult. The first thing is, we had to really develop our own ways. And in the first month or second month, I think this happened in the school also. A student would be sitting for online classes from 9 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the evening because there was no coordination amongst the teacher. There was no administrative kind of a thing we had understood. Anybody wanting a class will take. the class finishes at 11 o'clock, another one teacher is ready. By 12:30, another is ready. By 2 o'clock, the third, fourth is ready. And by the time these children finish their class, it was 6 o'clock in the evening from 9 o'clock. And you think they will be putting their video and audio on to listen to you? No way. By 2 o'clock, they would be sleeping. You know, so those kind of things are going because they are overloaded there. The challenges is, the first is the infrastructure. Now, what we talk about infrastructure is, did we all have a laptop in March? I don't think so. We had a phone. I believe many of us had not used Google Link till March last year. Today you can create Google Meet link and transmit in 30 seconds. Right? So the exposure was not there. We learned it not. The information gap. Today the online teaching platforms are numerous, but we are still to know so many of them. You know, the national seminars or international seminars or the conference that have gone, you talk about webinars. Now webinars are the talk of the vocabulary today. You know, this is what we talk about, is the change has happened. You know, the environment was not that conducive, we believed. Today we have made it. The greatest thing that you see is the second part, is the transition that we had to do from traditional face-to-face classroom learning. Learning is an entirely different experience that we talk about for the learners. Okay, if you talk about the classroom and the online, there was a transition which were not accepted initially by anybody, the teacher or the student, last year, right? And the educators with little or no other alternative available had to go for it. We had to go because the student had to be promoted. We did all that. So the education system and the educators have adopted what we call as education in emergency. That's the best word we can use it today. It was an emergent situation, so the emergency has come. We have adopted to that. That was the challenge that we took it. Now, the learner had a fixed mindset. The children would always believe, or they had believed, that if learning has to happen, if there is a percolation of information or dissemination of knowledge that has to happen, you had to see the teacher physically. And they would observe your gestures, your movement, your movement of the lips, your eyebrows, and you would also equally observe the student. When is the time when you think that you should be leaving the class? When you are in a physical classroom. But you are online. Can we know really when is the time you should stop the classroom? For me, I don't know. We teach 1.5 hour class. But in physical class, let me tell you, friends, I can guess when the students are not listening to me anymore. That's the time I said I must close it, not waste my energy, nor their energy. It depends on your expertise on ICT that we talk about. I think all of us are knowing, but how many of us have realized that the child that I have at home, my daughter or a son, would be able to help you with connecting you online, generating online link, and setting your platforms much easier than what we do today. It depends also on your maturity of mind. The early mind, the young minds catches fast, but if you have crossed certain age like me, it's so very difficult, So that also is a big challenge that we face. Now, online platforms today have many communication, platforms that we call as a unified communication platforms that you have, and you can use so many softwares and packages which are there, or the applications which are there. I think we have heard about all these, okay? Even in online teaching, you can have Canvas, you can have boards, you can have blackboards, you can have Jamboards, you can have digital board, so many things which are there. We have learned about this, okay, right? Now, they usually support different formats of the file. It's not important, but I think majority of you have used, some of you have used a Microsoft Word or a Word document or portable document file, which is a PDF file, or you have the Excel file or the audio file or the video file, or maybe you have created certain teaching animations. The greatest challenges that you have, which we have identified till today, is the accessibility. Do I have accessibility to my students, to the infrastructure, to the net, to the facilities that I have? Affordability, can I afford? Can everybody afford a smartphone? I'm not sure. It's not possible, I think. Today, we talk about flexibility. Can I move from one way of teaching, immediately shift to the other while I'm handling a class? That's flexibility, will need to be there, okay? The learning pedagogy, as I said, how do I teach? Who do I teach? How do, what are the aids that are, do we use teaching aids in the online? I think we have really not been using it. There is no scope for that. So all these are the greatest challenges that I have listed up, but others are, many have substantial issues with the reliable internet connection. Suddenly during the class, the students are there, your connection fails, you are out, and the students are still connected. It has happened, okay? And you are there, 10 of the students have gone. I don't know, should I continue or wait? And you wait for 5 minutes, they don't come back because net is an issue. So this is lack of parental guidance, okay, right? Especially for young learners is another challenge as both parents are working. Now, student assessment are carried out online with a lot of trial and error. We really don't know, are we really conducting exams? When you conduct the online examination, it varies as per the convenience and expertise. It depends on, if I know how to use Google form, I'll put the question in Google form. If I do not, I'll not put it in Google form because I don't know. I'll give them a Xerox or a page, Word file, I'll mail them, write and come back. So it depends on our expertise. So the examination is also not uniformly conducted that we talk about, okay, right? Do you know how to check plagiarism in exam? What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is when you copy something that is already existing, which is not yours, you have not created. When students come and write in the exam hall, there is no plagiarism. That is copying in ditto. They reproduce from whatever they have understood. Today, Word file, copy and paste, and format, beautifully formatted Word file, they get the highest. Students who are getting today 93% would have only got 39% when they are offline. It's a fact. I'm not saying they're hopeless, but situation is such, okay. So it's just the reverse. 39 has gone to 93, 79 has gone to 97. That's okay. Okay, there is hardly a jump of 4 marks here from 30, 40% that side. Okay, right? Now, school time also raises social skills. How important it is for children to be interacting, meeting. You can imagine these social skills are all gone. There are economic, social and psychological repercussions on life of students that we all know while they are away from the normal schedule of the schools, because there's so much of learning when they are physically present in the school. That's important. Increased and unstructured time spent on online learning. That's what I said, 9 to 6. Now the routines are structured. Last year, majority of even us, we were not thinking that the students are pressurized to do the class. So the point is, not all had the knowledge, nor the skill or the resources to keep themselves safe online. So we talk about online security. I think somebody mentioned today, there is also a security problem. Students today know much more to browse things which are obnoxious and which is not doing good to school children. Majority of students do not have access to smartphones. I have already said this. There is no or less income for huge population due to closure of business and offices. So even if they wanted to buy the gadget, they are not able to make it because business economy has really fallen. So there is no support system for this. So the other is the data package. All of us know today the cost is so high. Now what kind of teaching, even if you ask a student come on video, the data package is going to be more costlier. You can't even ask them. Okay, if you ask them, you be online for 5 hours, can parents really afford every day 5 hours package for children? That's also another thing which has come on the way. That's also a greatest challenge that we talk about. Okay, now face-to-face classes are encouraged, no doubt, but then can you really do, because video would take much more data than the audio. So that's another issue that we talk about again when we talk about, classes, online, packages and so on and so forth. The teachers are in dilemma. All of us are in dilemma as to whom to listen and which tool to adopt. Should I give, because if I want to be impressive teacher, I need to teach on a video mode. I need to be visible because expression, even if I'm only showing my face, means a lot in teaching. Gestures are very important. But if I just close that, it may not be useful. If I am opening my video, the student also should be seeing that. Now, if the students wants the video, their data package is another issue. Can I just be doing it, discriminating the ones who are not able to afford and the ones who are affordable to such a facility? The point is, we also confuse what should I do and what should I not do, which tools, which platform to use, that's also, okay. Some of us, some means teachers, think pre-recorded videos could help. However, this would restrict interaction. It is difficult to design a proper system to fit the learning needs and convenience. That I think all of us agree to this. Now, what do the students think as the greatest challenge that they're facing? They are not able to meet friends. Feel of lack of cooperative involvement. I said eating tiffin together, just confirming the answer. Internet failure, the glitches are always there. Teachers create opinion of misconduct. We have started creating, no doubt, don't say no. How do you teach mathematics? There is utter frustration that has crept in amongst the students, especially where there is, live interaction needed for teaching science or mathematics or literature, anything. We are lacking all that, okay?
Students have today learned to use short forms. LOL, for example. The teacher is making something, giving some, lectures, and the students would pass LOL.
They are now used to, in all these months that you have, loss of reading habits. They have forgotten to read. They only know copy, paste, see, and paste. That's a dangerous trend. Paper correction and feedback, I really don't get opportunity to correct and get feedback. I only give them marks. There is no opportunity I've created for feedback. Reduction in teaching aids, I said no aids at all. We don't get. Some difficulties are in English language, in writing challenges that you face today, speaking challenges that you have, or in reading challenges. In online, you don't have scope for really improving on them. I mentioned about phonetics and phonology, right? Lack of previous experience with blended learning before COVID-19 hampered the rapid transition from e-learning during the pandemic. So we didn't have, we just plunged into it. There are several opportunities that we have, and these opportunities, although it came unprepared, we had a distant plan of implementing e-learning. We learned it very, very fast. That's one greatest opportunity, pandemic. Every difficult situation comes with some benefit, the pandemic has taught us this. Now what this has done is, it has forged a strong connection between teachers and parents. You know the children's parent much more, and the parents know you much more than what was happening then. That's the greatest advantage. I feel, okay, the homeschooling requires parents to support the student. Now today the parents are more concerned about their children learning what they are doing and how they are doing than they were doing when it was in a traditional classroom. Okay, that's another advantage we have. Children with disabilities are given more attention today, actually, right? So that's also advantage that we have, opportunity that we can exploit. Now we have been using very many platforms that I've just mentioned, which we did not know. I think that's an opportunity given to us, and we are still learning. Now these online teaching modes and platforms, we can still explore more, and we can go further, because there are resources which can be additional. We can create. There are incomparable opportunities in online. I tell you, you can be as effective a teacher as you are doing in a traditional classroom. It takes little bit effort. Successful teachers have to have one world life plan, that is to improve. So unless we try to improve, online is going to be a massive failure. Okay, right? This is what teaching online is all about.
In a school education, as a student of education, what I feel is what we think, how we design the schooling, how it was emerged. There should be a school, there should be a classroom, there should be a teacher, there should be students there should be interaction, there should be textbook and all those things. So there must be some thinking behind. And long back it took place, and now every time it is evolving. But we believe and that whatever we are doing in the field of education, especially in a school education, whatever we do for the best learning and best growing for the child. That is our ultimate aim. The way the child can learn best and the way the child can grow best. So, just moving little beyond from mere classroom interaction and the hassles because of the online mode or because of this reshuffle during pandemic. If you look at the whole journey of education, school education, and the whole journey of human development through schooling or education, now we have little bigger goal. We have little bigger target. And as a teacher, as a head teacher, as a parent also, we want to see our child growing in a very, very big way. We call it technically in a well-rounded way, in a holistic way. This is how we term it. These are the terms we use in our educational parlance. So, the well-rounded development of the child, the holistic development of the child, this is the design, this is the vision of schooling, whatever is schooling. I will not go for the formats. I will not go for whether it's public, private, missionary, government. No, there are different formats of schools. You know. But education as a whole, for any country and for the world, the only thinking is, and this thinking has been evolving based on the evidences, based on the epidemical researches, based on the research findings. It has been evolving since beginning. So now in 21st century, when we are in the second decade, we have entered the third decade of 21st century, we have learned this understanding that education of today, at least school education of today, should be of this type. And each country in the world, whether it's developed, underdeveloped, it's a third world, totally developed. So it applies to all the countries, and all the countries, they make policies and programs based on this thinking, how to make it better and better, how to make the children learn better and better so that they will grow better and better. And this growth always means not in only one direction, that okay, he should pick up few words, he should speak well. It has many dimensions. It's a total development of the personality. And especially why I mentioned in the beginning that I will focus on school education, because that phase is schooling time of a child, or that time in anybody's life, that is a very, very fast changing, developing, taking place many changes inside, physiologically, anatomically, physically, emotionally, psychologically. There are many socially, there are many changes taking place inside. So it's a fast changing phase of life. So here, as a teacher, as the leader of the school, head teacher, one has to be little cautious, and that is why policy makers also, they are cautious and they are evolving, and they are making new things, they are bringing in new policies, new programs, making changes accordingly in the format of a school, infrastructure, textbooks, syllabus, curriculum, etc., teaching methods, etc., etc. And accordingly, we arrange the suitable environment in the system. When I say suitable environment, I mean that, say, if it is schooling, there has to be a school, there has to be some infrastructure there, a building, a classroom, some resource materials, certain basic things have to be there in place. And so far as researches are available with us, they also speak that this one-on-one interaction, the face-to-face interaction, it has a very, very significant role in human development. So it's very difficult to think or imagine to replace this mode with any other means. Face-to-face mode. So a teacher will come, students will be there in the class. And why I am saying? Because a class is not only a class, whether it's nursery or whether it's class 1, grade 1, or whether it is class 10 or 12, whatever. Or even for higher education also it applies to. So a class is not only a class, it is a miniature society. It is the replica of a society, a social fabric, a social structure. And then a teacher is there, and then something is going on between the teacher and the students. And n number of methods, pedagogy, techniques, skills are suggested what would be the best effective way to build knowledge in the child or transfer knowledge to the child. We call it this transfer technology or building technology or creating technology. There are different terms. So, I will not go into that. But what would be the best way to from here to there to make it reach and to happen something inside there in the child, so that the child will grow, learn best and grow best. Now, it is irrespective of a good school or bad school, a good teacher or bad teacher, the mandate is one. The mandate is same. Classroom, some resources, a teacher there, and something happens between the teacher and the taught, and an objective or a piece of objective in each class, 30 minutes, 40 minutes class, one or two objectives are achieved, and that continues throughout the semester or the year and throughout the schooling years, and ultimately children grow and achieve what is expected of them. This is what. And then they go to the society and they play as a good citizen of the country. When everything is stopped and there has to be something in place, so this online mode came into being, and especially in Indian situation, when there is quite divide, distinct divide. The one world, one India is rural India, one India is urban India, one is poor population below poverty line or who cannot afford, and one group who can afford it. So there is a complete divide in this, and then this technological issues, as earlier speakers mentioned, the accessibility, the access issues, the affordability issues, those issues were there. At the same time, there were other glitches, technological glitches, those constraints were there. Still we are facing. But because of this pandemic, the opportunity is that the country moved ahead, and now it has reached out maximum number of population in terms of connectivity and this online teaching. Now the constraint is, in this online teaching, the constraint is not on the part of students, because we believe that smaller children, young population, they are very, very quick to learn technology. They are very technology savvy. They pick up that skill. But for teachers, it was difficult. It is still a challenge. So for teachers, it was difficult to mold themselves and acquire this new skill. But still, now things are going on. Education per se in this country, schooling education per se in this country, higher education per se in this country did not stop, did not take a halt, and it continued and it's continuing. So this is a kind of success. Now I come back to my issue, that is when I say that one has to, as a teacher, as a school, as a system, as a leader of the system, one has to keep the basic funda of this process. The funda is that the all-round development, that goal post is to be seen always. that goal post has to be kept in mind always. If you are a good teacher, if you want to become a good teacher, it's not only your certain skills, but your ultimate aim, the goal post. You have to send the ball there in the goal post. Only then you can be called as a good teacher. So whether whatever you think, whatever you prepare, whatever you plan, whatever you transact, whether it is doing any sense, making any sense in the child or not, that is the thing. So you have the objective, you have the learning outcomes in mind, that is your goal post. Now this learning outcome or the learning objective, as I said, it's holistic in nature. So social dimension is there, emotional dimension is there, a psychological dimension is there. Now this isolation is not a simple problem. Not sitting in the classroom, when I said that a class is a miniature society, and you are sitting in the in home, in isolation, in one room, confined, then and in that situation you are learning and you are interacting with a teacher, this isolation will lead to many problems in the personality. This creates loneliness at some point in time. If you understand, if you are a teacher and you are supposed to understand the child's psychology, you have to know what a child is, what the requirement of the child is, what the psychology of the child is, what the child wants, what the child likes. And that also is not a permanent thing that a child of say child from 5 years to say 18 years will like the same thing. No. As per the developmental stages, their liking, their preferences, their habits, those things will change. They will change. And accordingly, if you are a good teacher, accordingly you have to design things and you have to make them involve. The first and foremost thing is, and as on today in new education policy also, we talk of, Professor Joshi also mentioned somewhere, it's okay, fine, cooperative learning we say, the collaborative learning we say, oh, it's not the brainstorming we say, the group discussion we say, these are the modalities, some of the modalities we do in the classroom with the students. Now these modalities, the experiential learning we say, the hands-on experiences we say, the project method we say, when children do, they are engaged in these activities and with friends, with peer groups. When they talk, they associate with others, they not only learn the cognitive things, they learn social skills, which are very important to live in the society. All those social skills, collaborating skills, cooperative skills, living together, learning together, I mean all those skills one cannot understand and develop only by some video or by some lecturing by a teacher through online. It's never possible. And so this is one loss. Secondly, this isolation, this loneliness creates a kind of tension if it goes on and on. It creates some sort of a stress because it doesn't suit the psychology of the child. The child is confined. Child is supposed to play with others. Child is supposed to be outside on the ground. The child is supposed to be with others, fighting, playing, talking, discussing, etc., etc. But child is not able to do that, and child is confined here in one room, in one house. So this isolation gradually might lead to some sort of negativity, some sort of distress, some sort of anxiety, some sort of loneliness, and then severity might increase with time. This emotional part is equally, we call it together in psychology, the psychosocial, the emotional, social, and emotion, nowadays this emotional part, Professor Joshi mentioned here and there in pieces, the attitude and all those things, it was there, and nicely he deliberated upon. This is very important for being a complete man, a good citizen, a good person in life. And that is what, through education, we want to make a child, develop a child into. That is the ultimate aim. We want to develop a good child, a balanced child. So the emotional part, we call it in education the affective domain. The affective domain. So in education generally, we take it as the cognitive part, the affective part, the psychomotor part. This affective domain, the emotional part, is really very, very important. And why it is important? Because it's a kind of what we call it in a simple formula. Generally, we say that we can put many things in this. We can transfer theoretically many things we can insert into heads by saying, by you can mug up also many things. Students can mug up also. So here in short term memory, in some form of memory, one can keep those things here. But that cannot come into practice. That will not go into the motor parts. That will never happen in your behavior. So the behavioral change can only happen if there is the involvement of this affective part, the emotional part. And this emotional part is, as on today, the research findings are more in favor of these things. So now they talk of not only the intelligence quotient, they talk of emotional quotient. They say that emotional quotient should be developed. Emotionally, one has to be strong enough. Now, what is this emotional and how can it be developed? How can you develop the emotional aspect of your child, your students, your own child? So, and it cannot happen in isolation. So it is linked with the social development also. So psychological or emotional development, they go together. And one who operates in group, one who is having friends, peer groups, someone to share, someone to play with, someone to discuss, someone to exchange ideas, learning will happen. That is first thing. Learning will happen. Cognitive part will develop. I am just keeping that aside. That is a part of pedagogical aspect. But the emotional part, that happens the most. When you are in front of others, when the child is in front of other children, they are in group, they are operating, they are doing something. Now, during that process, the child is understanding his or her own emotion. Now, the child is experiencing his or her own emotion. What is this emotion? Now, emotion is all your happiness, your anger, your sadness, your pleasant mood, your positive gesture, your negative gesture. All these things are your emotional expressions. So the child understands his emotion or her emotion best when he or she is placed before others in groups. Otherwise, he or she will never understand, identify his or her own emotions. That is one thing, so which is missing in online process. The second thing is, even the other's emotion you have to understand. Emotion is very important, I said. Others' emotion also you have to experience and understand. If you cannot understand others' emotion, others' mood, others' or sense of anger, or sense of happiness, or positivity, or negativity, I mean, you cannot proceed further in a group. You cannot relate with others. So understanding others' emotion is very important. And that is the binding factor in a group. And you have to live in a group, and you have to survive in a group, and a group only will make you survive the best. This is the learning, and this is the social aspect. This side effect, the psychological dimension, the social dimension, the emotional dimension, rather the distortion of the personality, the psychological fallout of this online teaching. I am more concerned, I want to draw your attention to this part. If amygdala is disturbed, it is unsettled, it is unsettled for a longer period, I mean, the child will lack in decision making. The child will lack in focus. Child will lack in motivation or interest. And not only that, it will manifest in different forms in the child's personality. And it's very difficult. But by the grace of God, there is a mechanism. If it is initial, mild, I mean, there are a lot of ways. She is doing art of living, or some kind of yoga, meditation, breathing exercises, calming techniques, or physical involvement, physical engagement, diverting the child in very pleasurable activities, joyful activities. Those things will again gradually bring this amygdala into its own size and function, and it is reversible, and then the child will see the rationality. The rational thinking will be. Otherwise, the rational thinking will become disturbed. The policy talks about in future the flipped learning or the blended learning mode. So that will continue, it will remain, but nothing can replace the face-to-face interaction, the teacher-student interaction. So this classroom mode will also remain, and major portion will be this only some percentage will be given to that. But we visualize that lifelong learning we have to inculcate in our students, and for that digital literacy, digital learning, online learning will be the biggest tool. So it will also continue, but if both the things are balanced together, that's fine. Otherwise, like pandemic, when everything is closed and there is confinement, there is containment, and even there are other associated with that there are other problems. If someone is sick in the family, if some child has seen that his father or mother has lost the job, or other hassles in the family, someone is suffering from this disease and a lot of issues. So those things again bring distress to the child. At the same time, this confinement, then this online screen focus, longer hour exposure to the screen. So not only the physical, but other things also matters here. what we visualize as a teacher educator, that we want to develop the complete, the holistic, well-rounded personality of the child. It can never happen. So it is just limiting your goal post also. It is compromising the whole philosophy of education also. As a student of education, what I find is it has compromised the whole, it has diluted the whole purpose of education. As a teacher and sensible teacher and a school leader, you understand this. You can come out with some compensation, and you can do something to compensate with this loss.